Okay, question 3 in this edition of Agape and Eros Live. Make sure you go and check out question 1 and 2 linked in the description below to give you, again, a little bit more context. The first question was about warning signs or red flags. The second question was about setting boundaries with parents. Okay, so now we're on to question 3. This one was really cool because the guy who asked this question told a story. He was being challenged because he had a friend in his life who was making some really bad choices. And you'll remember Larry sharing about how he had a friend that he had to end up cutting out of his life and how difficult that was. So this person who asked the question said, all these people are telling me that, I should let go of our friendship, but he's a childhood friend and I don't know what to do, but he's making bad choices that could end up affecting him in the long run. So check out what our experts have to say about this. But before you do that, go ahead and subscribe to Max Studios on YouTube and check us out on social media at Max Studios UST. All right, let's hear from Larry, Avanti, and David about how to manage challenging friendships.
Avanti, maybe you could start us off. Yeah, do you want to go for it?
Don't let him go first. He'll steal your material. No, I'm just kidding.
That's the goal.
I was like, that literally goes right up to his story that he shared. So
Yeah, so there's a couple things you can do here. So just because you cut someone out of your life doesn't mean it's necessarily permanent, right? For instance, if you have someone who's doing something that is, if you're trying to get into law school and they're out there breaking the law, well, you really don't want that on your, or you're trying to get into the FBI or something where they're going to do extensive background checks, right? That could be something, right? Especially during that time. But just because you are taking a break from somebody, whether it's permanent or temporary, doesn't mean you stop praying for them. Doesn't mean you stop caring for what they're doing. It's just that you don't condone the behavior that they're doing. And a lot of times during this time, they really need that prayer because in all of us, if we don't have that self-esteem, we have the self-destructive path, right? So it's this way of feeling alive because there's this belief that, oh, I can't be good, or I can't do this, or this is too hard. Or if their family labeled them the black sheep, well, I'm the black sheep, so I might as well fit into that role, that identity. And so they go off and do things such as that. But really praying for them and letting them know that, hey, while I may not be able to, hang out with you anymore and do this, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here for you, right? Because I do care about you. I just can't be associated when you're doing things like that, right? That doesn't mean I stop loving you. We go way back. That's awesome. But for right now, I'm going to have to take a step back, right? And that is you honoring your own boundaries, right? And what do our boundaries come from? We have 3 different types of boundaries. We have a vertical boundary, a horizontal boundary, and an inward boundary. So because God first loved us, our love is an echo of God's love, right? We can't love without him. So when you go echo, 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 that's us. That's our love, right? And God was the original voice. So because God first loved us, it is natural for us to love him back. Then because he loves us, then we have to learn how to love ourselves because we are the object through which we experience creation, life, and God, and love. So we love God, then we love ourselves because he loves us, right? Then once we have this establishment, then we're able to love our neighbor how? As ourselves, right? Sometimes we forget that piece. We're like, oh, I got to love this person. I got to do this for them. Right? We talked about people pleasing, right? But it says as yourself, right? Which means you've already established a love, an understanding of who you are. Then and only then can you love someone else, right? So one of the best things you can do for your friend here is to validate yourself, right? Your boundaries, love yourself. And by extension, you are loving them because you're saying, hey, what you're doing is not okay. Everybody else may say, yeah, go ahead, do it. It's this time in your life. You can act a fool, whatever. But for you, right, you're showing that real love. You're having that real tough conversations. And those are the people who have the biggest impact in our lives. We need people who are going to challenge us, not people who are going to just, let us hear what we want to hear.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think there's a difference between the person and their actions, right? You can absolutely accept this friend and know that he is a great person. However, you disagree with his actions. And that's that's where that boundary is, right? It's not about him, it's about what he's doing that you disagree with. And I think recognizing that and sharing that, I agree with Larry. I think sometimes having that tough conversation, whether it's, hey, I have to put this boundary in place because I disagree with your actions, or like being real and saying like, what's going on? Because I know this isn't you. Not all of that responsibility falls on you, right? It's also not your job to come in and save the day no matter how much you want to, but also know that that's not your role. But at the same time, right, like sharing with him that, hey, I disagree with your actions and like, this is my boundary. Whatever that is for you, that's for you to explore. All of us have different boundaries, and that's based on our own experiences and our own values. But I think as long as that message is there that, I care about you as a person and I'm worried about you, I think that could go so far. But I think it's also such a difficult place to be in.
Yeah, I want to peg to that, just like that conversation piece of like, right? Like simply, hey, I'm a little worried about XYZ, or we've known each other for a while now. Can we talk about something? Right? That's been like on my heart, whatever it is, right? That's generally like a strange, weird conversation for guys to have. I encourage you all to have it, right? Because like it's kind of like, not that it's an ultimatum, in my book, look, if sometimes you decide to like cut someone off, sometimes there's wisdom in telling them that, and sometimes it's natural, just like let it naturally kind of happen. Right? So you have to like figure out based upon your relationship which one to have or not have. But I still think inviting still that conversation of like, if you're concerned about them for something, if their behaviors are leading towards some way, talk to them about that, especially if you have a relationship that's gone for a while, and see how they respond, right? There may be something there that, it's they've never really had someone to be able to process that with. So I think that's just another step you can take, especially if there's already kind of a foundation built.
Yeah, that's great answers, all of them.
Agape and Eros is a show produced by Max Studios at the University of St. Thomas in Houston. Check us out on social media at Max Studios UST.